Hi, this is Dr. Jonathan Youssef, Networking for Your Optimal Health. Today is an exciting topic about weight loss, and just right for the holidays coming up, we have a few guests with us here, Andrea and Ashley, who are going to talk about getting through the holidays and helping us with some weight loss options that may be helpful. So I'm going to start first with Ashley, who is a physician assistant student at South University with us. And she's going to share with us some of her recommendations for losing weight and staying healthy through the holidays.
Hi, my name's Ashley. Like you said, I'm a PA student at South University. What Andrea and I really wanted to touch on today was being healthy for your holidays. Ways to go around the holidays without feeling like you've messed up and you've gained weight and you let yourself go. So first, we kind of wanted to talk about our different diets that we follow. I am a pescatarian, which means I am a vegetarian who eats fish.
I'm Andrea. I'm from Chamberlain University. I'm a nurse practitioner student. I prefer to use the keto diet. I've had a lot of success with weight loss over the past year and a half with it, 130 pounds. It's been...
Wow. No, that's fantastic. That's amazing. 130 pounds.
130 pounds, and it all started with diet modifications and sticking to the keto plan, high fats, moderate proteins, and low carbs. And it's I'm a firm believer that it's 80% diet and 20% working out. Through that time, I didn't work out much at all, but now I'm starting to switch to more carbohydrates to kind of fuel my workouts.
So I know, Ashley, you kind of disagree a little bit with the keto diet. Is there any reasons why?
I think the keto diet is a great diet for someone who really understands their goals and what they're after. So obviously it worked for you losing 130 pounds, which is awesome. But I feel like what we're finding in clinics is that people think that they're being healthy on the keto diet and they're eating bacon for all 3 meals, and they don't understand why their cholesterol's up or why they feel tired or why they're gaining weight. So I think the keto diet is a fad, and I think it's something it could be really good if it's done the right way.
I agree that it should be done for a short-term time and then switch to more of a healthy living after you've lost the weight. It's easier to maintain once you've kind of reached your goals. So I agree.
What about patients who are diabetics? Can they do the keto diet? Well, it's ketosis, right? So do we want to avoid ketoacidosis for those who are insulin dependent?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. So what other situations would you want to avoid the keto diet for? How about kidney function? Because a lot of times that's really hard on the kidneys to have a lot of ketosis or ketones, right? Well, maybe you can help us understand what the keto diet is and how someone might want to start considering the keto diet.
So we actually do it a lot here in the clinic. We kind of mimic the keto diet as far as starting out with protein, and then you work in your fats, your good fats, your olive oils, your olives. I like almonds, almond butters, that kind of stuff. And then keeping it very low carb, under 20 grams a day. Because your body can only use those carbohydrates for 48 hours before it'll switch over to a different fuel source. So getting started, you can have things that we've seen. Keto flu is really common, where you feel headaches, maybe a little fatigued. After that first week, your body starts to adjust and you have an actual increase in energy. Dr. Youssef and I use MCT oil. We like that. That's an energy boost.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's say, for example, you're having breakfast. What would be your traditional breakfast on the keto diet?
I love hard-boiled eggs, and the reason is because it's quick. It's a good source of fat. It's a good source of protein, and then I add in maybe like a mayonnaise or a mustard. That it's quick, it's easy, it hits all the points as far as your high fat, your moderate proteins, and your low carbs, and it's a good.
I saw that you did some coffee with MCT oil or butter. What was that called?
I love the bulletproof coffee, which I drink a lot of. I also like adding protein into my coffee, so getting the fat and the protein at the same time. I think that's really...
Is it easier to stay in ketosis when you use the MCT oils?
Yes.
Because and what does it stand for? Medium chain triglycerides?
Correct.
which tend to help create ketones in your bodies. What happens with ketosis? Do you like feel better in general? Decreases inflammation in your body? Is it because you're avoiding carbs, or, and I know I'm asking a bunch of questions because this is really a good topic, but is it because you're avoiding carbs and sugar that you're getting, you're feeling better, or is it because you're in ketosis?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think avoiding the sugars and using up that energy source right away and having the more sustained energy throughout the day really gives you a boost. So.
Can you do exogenous ketones to help your ketones in your body? Okay.
Of course, yes.
So the state of ketosis, is it like a catabolic or anabolic? Like it's almost like breaking down, right? Like your body's almost in a metabolic state of like energy. You have more energy. Your mood is better. Your inflammatory process in your body's better. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, definitely. I found though that it's hard to work out on it because you need that extra energy source, and I feel a little bit fatigued when I try to work out.
Okay.
So I think taking a break from the keto is good, maybe once a month.
I do recall that when we had, like when I started doing the keto diet, I noticed that I was having a lot of difficulty with going through like almost carb withdrawals.
Yes.
How many days and what are you expecting to go through when you do that?
When I go back on keto, it gets a little bit easier each time. I remember when I first started it, I felt awful, like somebody had beat me with a bat. And I had horrible headaches that weren't going away with Tylenol or Motrin. And everything that I had read said get through that first week and you'll be okay. And once I got through it was probably about 6 or 7 days. I really started to feel like energy boost. I woke up in the morning, I felt refreshed, like I had slept well at night. And then it got a lot easier from that point on.
Yeah, no, and let's say describe a lunch and a dinner for us so that, and then after that we'll go with Ashley and ask her about what she recommends as well.
Yeah, I like to have like leafy greens, mix it up because I love getting my frying pan ready and using like an olive oil or like an avocado oil where that's my good source of fat. A lot of times it's hard because I'm a muncher throughout the day, so you don't really get those munchies, but your appetite starts to suppress. And then you're okay with like the lower food intake. But I like, spinach kind of browned up with the oils, and then eggs again. I love eggs. And tuna. I like, I'm a quick person. Like I like stuff that's quick and easy and throw it together and move on with my life. So I'm not a big cooker.
Sure.
So
what are the things to avoid?
Avoid? Sweets. Being at Christmas parties.
Friday nights.
Yeah, Friday nights. Alcohol, that's a big one.
Yeah,
that's a hard one when you're going out with friends and making the right choices with your alcohol beverage. I did alcohol. It never kicked me out of ketosis, so I was fortunate with that. But watching what you're taking in on your nights out. Another big thing for me was gum. Gum would kick me out of ketosis, and because I like the sweeter gum, so avoiding that because sometimes the sugars in there, the substitute sugars can kick you out. I noticed. So
I have a question. How do you know when you're being kicked out of ketosis?
So I use the dip strips that you dip your urine, and you can tell really quickly within the first 5 seconds if you're in ketosis or not.
Wow.
So, and I really recommend those to people too because it's almost like a badge of honor. Like you get that, you get that little color change, and you feel like okay, I'm on the right track.
Are those available over the counter?
Yeah, you can get them off of Amazon. I order them from there. So.
Well, good. I mean, this is good stuff. Yeah, you can get a lot. But you have a lot of good information. I think we just kind of summarize it by saying that you essentially are eating good fats, you're avoiding carbs, sweets, alcohol. Essentially, you're trying to stay in ketosis as long as possible. It's not something you recommend to do long term, but it's something a good short term. It's not for everybody. Diabetics need to stay away from it, possibly patients with kidney disease. So it's really not for everybody. And I think that leads us to where Ashley's going to talk to us a little bit about an alternative diet.
So I'm a pescatarian, which means I'm a vegetarian who eats fish. And I've been doing that for years and years now. And that's just kind of on accident. I just stopped eating meat in college because I thought it was gross. And I just continued on to that. I get the occasional craving for a chicken wing and a hamburger, but for the most part, I just love my fish and I feel good about it. The big difference I would say between my diet and a keto diet would be I like to keep it low carb, but I do need those carbs because I compete in races running wise. I do half marathons. I'm a cycling instructor. So I do kind of need that extra energy to push me through kind of those things because I can't just not go to my race one day or I can't just not go to work. So I do need to keep on that constant carb cycle or just stay on a constant diet that I'm not going in and out of because I don't want my diet to affect my performance too much.
Tell us about your cycling. You're a cycling instructor. Tell us a little more about that.
So I teach at Soho Cycling. It's a lot of fun. I just started doing that a couple months ago, and it's a really good way to get in a good cardio workout. Like I said, I'm a runner, so that's kind of how I got into cycling, is just protecting my knees. But I really wanted something that would still get the heart rate up like running does, and cycling definitely does that. That being said, I hate doing weights. You will never see me on a weight in the gym. That's why my arms are like the size of a toothpick. But it's so good for muscles. We do a bunch of choreography. We start dancing on the bike. So it kind of brings in the arms, it brings in the core, it brings in the legs. So I have more muscle than I've ever had in my life. And all I'm doing is basically training for running.
Why don't you like weights?
I can't get into it. I go in and out of it. I do think it's fun to kind of see like how far you can push your body, to see, your biceps growing. I think there's kind of some kind of gratification that goes along with that. For me personally, if I don't get like a spike in my heart rate, I just don't feel like I've really got that good workout in. I need to sweat it out.
Maybe you can explain to us what it means by a spike. Do you want that target heart rate to be a certain amount? Are you trying to do what, I don't want to mention their names out there, but they're trying to reach a target orange level?
Oh gosh.
What is that? What you're trying to do, or are you trying to just kind of what trainers have been told to do? 220 minus your age equals your maximum heart rate versus minus 80% of that, or 80% of that. Is that? Yeah,
I try to. So the higher my heart rate goes, obviously, the less you can do because it's more of a sprint. And So when I'm running, I try to keep my heart rate, depending on how far I'm going. So say I'm running a half marathon, I really want to keep my heart rate below probably 140s until I get to those last couple of miles. Because if you reach it too high, you're going to get tired sooner. So, and I can, through training, I can kind of realize, okay, I can run at a 9-minute pace per mile for 10 miles without spiking my heart rate. Because that's when I'll get tired. That's when I run out of energy. So when I'm on the bike, I'm learning how far I can push myself when I'm not 10 miles away from my house. So like today I got to 182 beats per minute during a sprint, and I knew how I felt during that, and now I can channel that into my runs knowing, okay, I can push it a little further, and I know I can get, once I hit 180, I get 15 more minutes out of my workout.
How do you wear a heart monitor?
Yeah, my little watch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a really good idea.
Overall, I think that different styles of, you're working out, so you definitely need a diet that focuses on that. I know Andrea also is doing a little bit of workout. She's also doing some Orange Theory, so that's really, increasing her muscle tone and everything. Changing up the diet. I kind of like the keto diet myself. I've noticed that it really helps. I do think that long term, I'm concerned, particularly because of kidney issues, and we have some kidney problems in our family, so we do try to avoid that. But I have incorporated some carbs into it. There is some supplementation that you can use, and something we can talk to your doctor about, or your healthcare provider, and they would talk to you about. There are some exogenous ketones that could be added, make it a little easier for you to stay in ketosis. You can also revisit the first 2 to 3 days of your diet where you cut out carbs completely. And so, you may be able to incorporate certain types of carbs if you really have to, but there are ways of managing that too. So there's subtle and exogenous ways and supplements that can help to manage that as best as possible. But overall, I think that different styles of diets are out there. Has anybody like discussed the Mediterranean diet, which I think has become almost the traditional medical practice diet, or what used to be the pyramid diet with the high carbs? Do you think that the Mediterranean diet is a little different than that? I think we're trying to move away from the red meats, I think, with the Mediterranean diet, and doing more vegetables and, and still incorporating carbs, but just different kinds of carbs, and using olive oil instead of like traditional vegetable oil or like the heavy coconut oil or something like that. But yeah, so the Mediterranean diet is become something of like a safe zone for, I think, physicians to recommend. But I think that if you're going to lose weight, I think you're looking at a little bit more intensive diet. Would you guys recommend supplements? Any supplements that you recommend? Amino acids?
I like my pre-workout.
The pre-workout.
I know that
okay.
that's something that gets a little here and there, but I think it gives me the push that I need to get through some of my workouts in addition to my regular B vitamins.
Yeah, I know. Well, with the pre-workout, let's like discuss that a little bit, because there are some caffeine and some intense. Yes.
Not
I think
a
Andrea's
fan.
bringing.
Not a fan of pre-workout.
Okay, all right. Andrea, tell us a little bit about.
I hate the feeling.
Well,
The tingle.
It does. I wasn't prepared for that. That really got me. They should put that as a warning.
Yeah, that's like a black
thing.
box.
Yeah.
Well,
you're gonna tingle.
Sure. Did we not have? We actually had a patient that had to go to the hospital after a pre-workout.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
I thought I was having a reaction. No.
Well, no.
I really thought I was having a reaction to my facial wash because
Oh
my
my
face was
gosh.
tingling so
Well,
bad.
what product is in that did that? It's niacin. So they throw in a little bit of niacin, which helps, which is flushing. So keep that in mind, especially if you're sensitive to that kind of product. So yeah, not everybody is gonna do well with that.
Half your dose.
Oh yeah.
Don't take the full dose on the first one.
Yeah, don't start with the full dose.
I like
Yeah,
it.
but I think
was like full dose.
there are other options too that you can do that would not do not good, like pre-workouts. I think we have to be really careful. We're not recommending it, obviously. Here we're just talking about different diets and different ways to stay in shape. But is there any other supplements that you recommend?
No,
How about stuff that we recommend in our office for traditional B12, vitamin D? We do B12 injections for weight loss here, so we think that's good to help you with your diet. Maybe also, if you're eating certain types of diets, you may not have enough nutrients coming in, so you might want to look at overall what can you supplement with. How about protein? Anybody doing protein shakes?
I love protein shakes. They're so quick and so easy. I love Premier Protein, which I use all the time. I'm sure everybody in the office sees me running around with my Premier Protein. But I always make my coffee in the morning, and I add my Premier Protein, and replacing the sugars in your coffee, I think, is so big for people.
Yeah.
They love their coffee, they love the sugars, but just acquiring the taste for the protein shake and making that as your creamer has just been life-changing for me, because I miss all of those calories in the morning that I used to take in.
Well, tell us a little bit about what your plans are for the holidays. I know you guys wrote a few things down to share. Well,
the
as
holidays
we
are
finalize.
so hard. There's so much good food. I love food.
All the parties.
Yes.
You don't want to be the one person.
You don't want to
who's
be
like,
that person.
Yeah, don't be that person.
No,
Rule number one.
There's so many sweets around the office. Everybody brings us sweets. So that's hard. But we were kind of talking about it and saying start with your proteins.
Yes.
Fill up on your proteins and then kind of work your way through the bad stuff. I don't think it's good to deprive yourself.
I think that's going to lead to worse.
Yeah.
You're going to end up in a closet with a whole pumpkin pie.
Yes. And I think the biggest thing is knowing that if you had that piece, it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay that you had that little piece. And I'm a big person that was always like, well, I ruined my diet, so I might as well just eat the whole cake. That wasn't a joke. So, when you make those mistakes, get back on the bandwagon. Know that it's okay that you had that little portion, and move on with your day. So that was my biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to do the brushing your teeth too?
I love that. I got that from Jillian Michaels. She always said that if you eat a meal, brush your teeth afterwards, and you don't want to keep eating after you've brushed your teeth because you feel fresh and nice. So I actually do use that trick a lot. Or pop in a piece of gum that's minty, because then you don't want to keep eating it, kind of. I see it as an
That's
appetite
going to pull you out
suppressant.
of ketosis, though.
Yeah.
No, the sweet gum does.
I gotcha. So if
yeah.
you use the non-sweetened or the alternative sweetener?
I use the sugar-free gums and the like the sweeteners and the stevias and stuff like that, and all of it kicks me out for some reason. I don't know why.
Even the alternative sweeteners?
Yes, yeah.
So then maybe just brush your teeth, not chew gum?
Yeah.
Or
yeah. I found that the mint gums are okay. I don't know why. But yeah, the sweet gums I've noticed have kicked me out. So
any like little tricks of the trade that
As
I
far
recommend?
as?
Like there was a lot of I used to have like a long list of things that you shouldn't do. Like don't sit down on the table if you finish your meal. Like, don't just sit down, because then you tend to like eat. Don't eat while you're watching TV. Don't try to do some like electronics and eat, because you're gonna.
Those are really good tips.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you guys would recommend that you?
I'm a big one, like, make your plate and don't go back for seconds.
Okay.
Portion control. You make it. You eat what you made and then move on. Mm-hmm. So,
I don't have that great of self-control when it comes to my food. So my biggest thing is, on holidays I always make an effort to work out in the morning. Whether or not I want to, I go for walks. I will literally do anything. I will get out of the house, because it's so easy when the parades are on, when the whole family is sitting around the tree. You just got to go out and do something so you don't feel lazy for the rest of the day.
That's a great tip. I like that a lot.
Excellent, you guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us for another great podcast. And looking forward to the holiday. This is Andrea's last day with us, so we're really kind of excited for her to graduate. So hopefully, but we did get a podcast in, so that now we can make it official.
We've been fighting.
We did it.
We've been fighting this.
Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yusuf.
This is Dr. Jonathan Yusuf, networking for your optimal health.